Hey guys, this is Ronnie Phillips, here to show you another mapping project that I went through as a student there at Tarrant County College in Fort Worth, Texas. I was trying to figure out the best way to show how this project might be demonstrated. We have to create PowerPoint presentations for pretty much everything, so I think the best way to do this is just to kind of guide you through the PowerPoint. And then for this one, I'm going to show the some of the the map background and how the application actually works. So what I ended up having to do was basically create a database, from scratch, create a geodatabase from scratch, using and applying some of the things that we learned in our data analysis and acquisition course. So I'm just going to pull that up. And what I ended up doing was making an online farmer's market. What I had kind of planned on was just basically a decentralized method of allowing backyard gardeners and things like that to publish if they're willing to, if they have a garden and they're willing to give other people their food, things they give out of their garden. They can publish that online. People would then be able to go in and see who's got what where and get a hold of them and get a hold of some of it. So we'll go ahead and get into this. Like it says right here, farmers markets do feel a need for shop for locally grown produce, but it's kind of inconvenient. Farmers markets is usually on the weekends, and people just don't. We're pretty busy. It can kind of be a pain to get out there and go all the way to the city center, which is where these things usually are. And drive out farther than your neighborhood grocery store to get produce. So you have to kind of wait till the weekends, and then they have farmers markets that only go from May to August or something like that in a lot of cities. It can be difficult to get out there and get produce when you want it. Uh, so that was kind of my idea going into this. Gardeners often have too much produce for their garden. I've been gardening pretty much my whole life. Um, I didn't garden a lot whenever I was for a number of years there, but I know about gardening. I did it when I was a kid. I garden now. Even productive mid-sized gardens can generate a lot of wasted produce, and you can't give it away. You can ask my neighbors. I'm constantly, hey, you need some cucumbers, you need some tomatoes. I'm constantly trying to give them food because I just don't want it going in my compost bin, and I just don't want it to go to waste. Our produce, as opposed to like stuff you get in your stuff you get at the grocery store, it spoils really quickly, so I can't really bring it down to the food kitchen or anything like that. So I would be more than willing to give my vegetables and stuff away for free if someone would just come get it or let me know. So my solution to this was to create an online farmers market to match consumers and growers together. That way, consumers can source locally grown produce, and gardeners can find a use for their unused produce. You know, s- it won't go to waste. And like I said, that's my backyard garden. This was toward the end of the summer, I believe. Those are ghost pepper and Carolina Reaper plants right behind me. And they were just, I'm 6 feet tall, and those things were just about as tall as I am. They were extremely productive that year, and you can see off to the right there, up at the top, those are peppers. That's about half of what I had pulled just in one day. That middle bucket that's my compost bin. I had to throw all of those overripe cucumbers away because I couldn't get them out anywhere. And then in that bottom, the bottom one, that's off of 4 plants. I cut all those up and made them into pickles, but there's only so much you can do with cucumbers. You can't eat that many cucumbers. So if I had somebody who was willing to take this stuff and eat it, I would be more than happy to sign up for something that did that. So essentially, the course just called for, basically plotting out the database first, and I used an ERD to do that. Um, uh, Go back one here. Yeah, I mean, this was just, just kind of planning it out and figuring, drawing on, the experience that I had gardening, um, creating a database to place into, ArcMap, uh, or build. Well, this was basically the blueprint to be able to build a geodatabase to stick in the ArcMap and do all this stuff. So anyway, like I said, this was me building the geodatabase, or actually a feature class, and ArcMap. I created domains for the applicable produce types. Um, Not really that difficult. You'll have to excuse my red scratching there. I I had to scratch out some of my personal information there. For school, I didn't do that. I don't care if they know, but this is for YouTube, so I don't exactly want to know everyone to know all of this stuff. Anyway, so I created domains for all of this stuff. Not really that big of a deal. Moving on, I went ahead and created. Uh, you know, I imported everything into a hosted feature layer in ArcGIS Online using the Share As service, and not really a big deal. I edited the pop-up box to be more easily read, except for my red scratch outs here. Um, Not really that big of a deal. You can also, using this platform, you can upload photos of your garden to for people to use or people to see. But we'll see that here in just a second. I created a GeoForm for gardeners to complete. And what gardeners will do, well, they'll complete this form right here, and none of this information is actually real, except for the street address here. Um, they'll take the GeoForm, they'll complete the form, all the information on it, and that will, they can post their location here. That'll post it, to a web map that gardeners or consumers will be able to go in and look at and see who's got what where. So I had to create a second web app. I like the GeoForm, but I don't like the map that it creates. It's not really. You can share the map, but it's. I just didn't think it was consumer friendly enough. Um, so what I did, I went in and created a new web application that took that feature layer, placed it in here, and you can see that that's it's just as easy as that. You click on the green flower, green flower. You click on the green flower, and that'll show you who's got what where. Um, and like I said, this can be used, to not really as a replacement for city farmers markets, but kind of as a supplement. And for those cities that don't have a farmers market program, they just don't have the manpower or any interest in it or anything like that. This can help sustain the citizen participation programs by decentralizing that information. Citizens can visit their neighbors, at an agreed upon time to get produce, at way more convenient times than having to wait till Saturday between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Or Sunday between 8 and 12. Sometimes it can be hard to get out there. I also kind of after I created this, I started thinking about places, large cities. We've got these food deserts that are going on. I think cities could really use an application like this. And as long as people are out there gardening, these food deserts, if they start, if they put into place one of these programs in food deserts, people could suddenly start. We could maybe do away with some of that desertification. So anyway, that's that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull up this part here. And this is, this is where this is, the online map, of course, if you have an Esri account. And you can go in and, I've configured it to where, you can go in and edit all this stuff. Not a big deal, you know. Uh, but this is not the map people will actually see. This is for the administrator on the back end. We'll show you that right now. This is the online farmers market. I probably could have gone a little bit further in and created some graphics, done some other things, but just kind of decided not to. Um, yeah, and this is what consumers would see. You can go in here, see who grows what, where, and how to get a hold of them. We've got an email address. I considered putting phone numbers on here, but then I'd have to go in and make up, fake phone numbers, which is not a big deal. But eh, it just didn't. I didn't like doing that. I mean, some of this, using some of these addresses on here is not really private information, but it just didn't feel like I was doing the right thing, and I didn't want to assign some, something like that. But anyway, same thing. I mean, it's not really that complicated. I've put in some, base maps here so we can see the, imagery, you know, not a big deal. But I really do think that some cities can really do well with a program like this. Get that information out there. You could even publish it on things like Nextdoor or Facebook or anything like that. Uh, and people could, go in and get their produce from their neighbor, instead of having to go to the farmer's market, on Saturday or Sunday. You can walk right down the road to your neighbor, and you could walk right down to me. And please take my produce. But anyway, that's really it. If you have any questions or comments or complaints, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Like I said, my name is Ronnie Phillips, and I hope you're having a good day. Bye.